Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. What day of the week is it anyway? It's a Tuesday. We're back on a normal schedule. It is a Tuesday, April 15th. It's tax day 2025. Hope everybody is having a wonderful week. Love you all. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. We're trying to grow this thing, get it bigger and bigger and bigger. We are here at Amalie Arena, our final regular season home game for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They'll take on the Florida Panthers. We know that the Lightning's first game will be at home this weekend. John Cooper kind of said it today, let the cat out of the bag a little bit, that the game's probably going to be on Sunday. So we could be looking at a possible playoff preview tonight at Amalie Arena at 7:30. Not on FanDuel. It's an ESPN broadcast. Andrei Vasilevsky will be in the lineup. He will be starting between the pipes. More on that momentarily. Again, follow me on social media. Make sure you like and subscribe. Shout out to everybody, Benny and Ryan and David Terry. I love you all. If you guys want to contribute to the program, you can do so. If you want to give us a call, video call, here is the link to do so. Just put that into your laptop or your phone and you can join the show. We want to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns. Come aboard and you can join us here on the program today. We are taking super chats. You want to make sure that your comment gets read. Do it via the super chat. $1, $2, $5, $10. Every little bit helps here on the program, and you can have your comment shown like our guy, Bart Hill. Appreciate you, Bart. Appreciate everybody out there today on the program. Of course, we are live here at Amalie Arena, so we will talk some Tampa Bay Lightning hockey and preview that win, preview the win over the Panthers. Also, the NHLPA released their voting results today. They pulled over 600 players in the National Hockey League. Best goalie, best forward, smartest player. The Lightning well represented on this list. So we'll get into that a little bit. And we'll also hear from John Cooper and Darren Radish. Will he be in the lineup tonight? We'll play that audio for you here in a bit. Also, at 12:30 today, my cousin, Martin Collins, Marty, is going to join us. He was there at Augusta, the Masters. What was it like to see Rory finally triumph, completing the career Grand Slam? Marty joins us. He is a caddy up there at Wingfoot and Mamaroneck, where they've had multiple U.S. Opens, and you have to hear the people that he has caddied for over the years. Names like Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer, Andy North, Johnny Unitas. This is insane. So cousin Marty is going to join us at 12:30 today. 12:50, we'll talk about the Rays. Wait, hold on. I'm getting word. The Rays just scored another 5 runs. Yes, suck it, Boston. Suck it, Boston. You stink. What a great way to start that 3-game series against the Red Sox with a pounding of Boston. Who stood out the most to me in that contest, and what does the pitching matchup look like for tonight's game at Steinbrenner Field? We'll tell you at 12:50. 1 o'clock, Greg Wyshynski joins us on the program, ESPN's own. Of course, you know when Greg joins us, we're going to talk Lightning hockey. We're going to talk NHL. But we're also going to preview WrestleMania 41. We have our WrestleMania roundtable happening on Friday at 1 o'clock. Ed Encina, David Shealy, Corey Long, Matt Matera, the entire crew. A lot of great stuff going on there. And then at 1:25 today, we are going to look at number 19, that selection for the Buccaneers, the first round of the upcoming NFL draft, and a position that isn't in the top 3 for me. But the more mock drafts we see, and it could be a smokescreen, but this one position here could be a position to target for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll do that at 1:25 today. Shout out to Dolan. Sean, what's going on, brother? And Lady Evil. Are the boats going to have home ice in the first games no matter what, or do they have to win tonight? The Tampa Bay Lightning have home ice no matter what the first 2 games in the playoffs. So what'll happen is the Tampa Bay Lightning will either find a way to get the number 1 seed in the Atlantic Division and play looks like Ottawa. Yeah, they'll play Ottawa no matter what because Washington has the 1 seed. So they'll play either Montreal or Columbus. Probably going to be Montreal unless we see something drastic. And then after that, we know that the Tampa Bay Lightning, let's say they don't get that number 1 seed overall in the Atlantic, at the very least, they're going to get the 2 seed. That's what happens when the Rangers were able to beat the Florida Panthers. I know crazier things have happened, but the Rangers come through and win that game. So the Lightning, no matter what, have home ice for games 1 and 2 of the first round of the playoffs. We are looking at probably a Sunday, but you just never know because we're having this discussion there in the Lightning locker room with some of the media. Sometimes it's a every other day thing. It'll be a Sunday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Saturday, but sometimes there's a day off between games 1 and 2. Sometimes they give that extra travel day in between games 2 and 3. So we just don't know. We just have to wait and be patient. Lightning, the most important thing for them is to stay healthy. That's the number 1 onus for this squad right now. Win, lose, whatever, because we know it's a completely different ballgame. Regular season in the playoffs, it's completely different, unlike any other of the 4 major sports. For hockey, the intensity, the physicality, the toughness it takes for you to persevere, it's just completely different in the postseason. You see it every single year. Teams struggle. They're driving the struggle bus 5,000, and it's like, what the hell is this team doing? And then all of a sudden they sweep their first round matchup. We see a team that can go like we saw, I think it was Ottawa years ago. They were 20-3 in their last 23 games, and they go and they lose in 5 games. Just the way it happens. It's hockey is completely different. The health is paramount, no matter what. All right, John Cooper just spoke a little while ago here at the Amalie Arena after morning skate. What did he have to say as far as availability and injuries? And I dialed it down today, folks. No crazy blue shoes, purple shoes. I went with straight brown shoes today. I know. First time all year long with brown shoes. Head coach John Cooper, you know he's just not going to let that slide. Here's what head coach John Cooper had to say after morning skate today at Amalie.
What happened?
Are you okay, Jay?
Gotta switch it up.
All right, let's go.
Is Darren gonna skate?
Oh, yeah.
What's the status?
What was, what's the status? I think Charlie Steiner used to say.
Day to day.
Day to day. but
Aren't
then-
we all?
But then again, aren't we all?
Something like
No,
that.
he should be.
Clendenny out there too. Is he still?
No, yeah, Clenny's out.
Any update on him in terms of second game?
No update yet, no, sorry. Yep, yes.
With Florida having won or lost last night, you know, they've got a home ice for at least to start play. As soon as you start, does that change your approach to this game in any way?
I mean, like, well,
Well, just because you got home ice if you play Florida. Right? It's the same thing for the Blue Jays. You still have the traditions on it. Right?
yeah,
So does it change any way that you might view how this game is going?
I don't think so. We're not in a position where we can rest players or some guys out. This is, you know, our job is to make sure we're in ourselves in the best position to, you know, start Sunday or whenever we're going to play. And so we have 2 more games to play, and this is a group we're going with. So, you know, regardless who we're playing, you know, we're still going to play and try and win the game. Make sure we think we're doing everything possible in that regard. And we have, you know, passed into that tonight, and we want to make sure that we're clicking on all cylinders. Now, if they take a little juice out of the game tonight, who knows? It's human nature. So, you know, if the team we're playing tonight's playing next Sunday as well. So, yeah, I'm sure everybody's going to go out there and be competitive. But, you know, might not have the same zip as opening night. So, we'll see.
Is there anything you want to see out of games 1 and 82 or game 81 and 82?
Yeah, everybody's healthy. Nobody gets hurt.
Can this game Will you change the way you manage the game in terms of ice time and everything like that?
I don't know. Again, like, let's just see how the game plays out. You know, am I gonna, want to spread the ice around and give guys the opportunity to play? There's no question. So, if we get a power play, we're gonna throw PP3 out. No, probably not. So, maybe some little things, but we're going in with the same recipe we have for the first 80 games.
You had mentioned after the game the other night, you felt Connor Geekie looked more mature as a player. What were some of the things you specifically saw that was the difference between February and April?
Poise with the puck, just places he was on the ice. He was on his feet. He was sturdy. He was strong. He finished checks. List goes on. He's made improvements. So that was good on him.
Playoffs always seem to have those kind of characters that pop up out of nowhere. Could that be Connor Geekie? Once upon a time, it was Jake Gensel.
I don't know. It could. That you don't know. You never know. I think guys that pop up out of nowhere. I mean, it's hard to say, but you want your regular cast of characters to be big positive influences in your game, and if you get more than that, then there seems to be a cast or a character in there at some point. But we know what we have to do, and the boys are, there's a good vibe going on right now. That knowing that the playoffs are less than a week away.
Coop, the PA of voting was released today with a lot of love for Hetty, Vazzy, and Cooch. What does it say when their peers look so fondly on them?
These guys are good players. They're respected.
Thanks, Coop. Yeah, it says they're good players. They're respected. Yeah, I listen. The one thing about this Tampa Bay Lightning team, and people have asked me a lot, like, what is your opinion of this team going into the postseason? Regardless of what I've seen in the regular season, regardless of what I think, every single you have Andrei Vasilevsky, you have Victor Hedman, you have Nikita Kucherov, you have three guys that are considered top five, and we'll get to the rankings here in a second. I'll show you, if you haven't seen it, from the NHL Players Association. Over 600 players voted. When you have the goalie that is number one, when you have the defenseman that is number three, and you have the forward that's number three, I mean, you got a chance. You got just as good a chance as anybody, and especially the goaltender. Because outside of maybe quarterback in football, is there a more important position in the four major sports than the netminder? I mean, you could even make the argument that it's more important than the quarterback, because we've seen quarterbacks, and we remember their names, the Trent Dilfers and the Brad Johnsons of the world. I know that it's probably few and far between, because the majority of the time it is a Brady or a Mahomes or a Manning or something like that. But, man, it is awfully tough to win in the National Hockey League, especially in the postseason, when you have to win those 16 games. If you don't have a top-tier goaltender, you need that netminder to be on his P's and Q's. You can't have him. There's just so much that goes into it. We're just talking physically, right? His angles have to be right. He's got to be able to go post to post. He can't be out of position. He's got to be able to see the puck, right? He's got to be able to fight through traffic. And then mentally, you have to be the strongest guy out there. I mean, you have players on the other team that are flying, 20 miles an hour, trying to throw their bodies into the crease, doing whatever it takes, scoring those dirty goals. And then, you have guys that can hammer it over 90 miles an hour in your direction, and you have to be able to stop the puck. And if it doesn't, like that's the thing. You can throw an interception if you're a quarterback on 3rd and 15, and it's almost like a punt. You make a mistake as a goalie in hockey, you're giving up a goal. It's a zero-sum position right there. So I think I might have won an argument with myself there. I think it is the most important position in sports. And when you have a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky, I'll take the Lightning against anybody. All right, let's take a look at the results from the poll here. I wanted to share this with you guys because I know not everybody saw them. All right, there you go. So there's the first part. The goalie, Andrei Vasilevsky, 31.13% of the vote. Best overall goalie. Hard to disagree with that. little surprising when you look a little farther down that Connor Hellebuck is only at 15%. For my money, I mean, he's the Vezina Trophy winner this year. He is the second best goalie on the planet. I love Igor Shesterkin. I think he's a phenomenal puck handler, and he deserves every bit of that $11.5 million that he gets. He's not better than Connor Hellebuck. Sorry. Just because he's up there in Canada, West Coast, and you don't really hear about him too much here on the East, doesn't take away and diminish the fact that every single year this guy is top tier, elite. And we saw it for Team USA as well. Let's not forget that. He was fantastic for the red, white, and blue during the Four Nations. Bobrovsky, fourth. UC Saros, the Predators, backstop in fifth there. Overall forward, no surprise, Connor McDavid over 73% of the vote. Nathan McKinnon, 9.6%, and there's Nikita Kucherov at 6.41%. Sidney Crosby and Kirill Kaprizov there at fourth and fifth. Sidney Crosby still getting a lot of love around the National Hockey League, and deservedly so. First ballot Hall of Famer, still performing at a high level, even late into his 30s. But look at Cooch, over 6% of the vote, getting respect, even if Nikita Kucherov does not get the respect from the voters. And again, I said this on the program yesterday. You have more people in Toronto voting for Austin Matthews for best defensive forward than you have for Nikita Kucherov, who's going to win the Art Ross again for the second year in a row for most points in the National Hockey League. You have people that think that Matthews is a better defensive forward than Cooch is an MVP candidate. If that doesn't tell you something, you notice who isn't on this list. Look, best overall forward. I don't see any Austin Matthews on there. Do you? No, sir. Best overall defenseman. Cale Makar, obviously number one at over 71%. Quinn Hughes from Vancouver, number two. And there's Victor Hedman, the big Swede, the captain of the Bolts, 5.74 point. These are the top five guys. I don't think there's any debate whatsoever with Roman Josi, the Predators defenseman, and then Adam Fox with the Rangers. That number's gone down. I'm sure people don't look as fondly at Adam Fox as they have in years past, especially what they saw with the Four Nations. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how his game ages as he gets older. Smart as hell, but he doesn't clearly stack up with guys like Hedman and Makar or Quinn Hughes. The most complete players see Sidney Crosby, still number one. Barkov, number two. That probably would have been my answer. McKinnon, McDavid, Matthews, and Andrei Kopitar. How about this? Best playmaker in the game. Nikita Kucherov at number one, over 48%, followed by Connor McDavid, his teammate Leon Draisaitl, Artemi Panarin, and Sidney Crosby. Crosby all over these rankings. But there you go, Cooch with nearly half of the players polled, number one playmaker. And you see that on a night in, night out basis. If you need to win a faceoff, who would you pick? Sid the Kid, followed by Ryan O'Reilly, Andrei Kopitar, Jordan Stahl, and Sasha Barkov. The smartest overall player. I like the combination of forwards and defensemen here with Sid the Kid at 27%. Nikita just under 25%. Connor McDavid, Alexander Barkov, and Adam Fox. So great representation so far on this list for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So people ask, why are you so optimistic? The players will tell you themselves. Best overall skater, McDavid, clear. I'm surprised that number is not higher. Makar, McKinnon, Hughes, and Jesper Bratt. I always want to Europeanize his name, but it's just Jesper Bratt. David Pastrnak, Austin Matthews tied for the best fashion sense. Can we get something for the best hockey media fashion sense? I would love to see that. Willie Nylander, Patrick Laine, I think he should be higher, and Rupe Hintz. Who would be a good broadcaster when they retire? Kevin Hayes, number one. Okay. Ryan Strome, two. Marchand, Pat Maroon. I like that. Eric Comrie, Eric Johnson, Marcus Foligno, but I think Marchand and Patrick Maroon, those are my two answers there. And then the final two, which rulebook change would you like to see in the NHL? And this is for the Women's Hockey League, a jailbreak goal, number one. That means if you score a shorthanded goal, the minor penalty is over. I'm sure the Lightning would love that with Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel with as many as shorthanded goals as they have this year. The 3-2-1 point system, getting 3 points for a regulation win, and then shootout wins and shootout losses being 2 and 1 point respectively. First place finisher chooses the playoff opponent. I don't really like that. 86.4. A player is eligible at any time to take any number of shots and as often as that shooting team chooses. So you could have the same guy go all 3 times. And then also no restricted goalkeeper area, which will be known as a trapezoid, will be enforced. I don't think those need to be changed, but I wouldn't hate the jailbreak goal. And then finally, which NHL arena has the best ice? Montreal at number 1, Edmonton at 2, Winnipeg 3, Minnesota 4, and then Las Vegas at number 5. So those are the results for the voting by the NHLPA. I want to get the 663 NHL players. So that is a really, really good sample size. That is not just 20 players or 100 players. And I feel like those results mean a lot more than what we see from the NFL 100, where they're like, just give me 20 players. And they just write down a bunch of guys. And you start wondering, like, how does that add up? That right there, I thought was pretty spot on. If you had asked me where I had Nikita Kucherov as the best forward, I mean, if we're talking this season, I think he should win the MVP because I don't know where the Lightning be without him. But when you talk about kind of overall the last couple of years where they, stand, I mean, Connor McDavid's clearly the best player in the world, and I think Nathan McKinnon's probably a close second. But I think it's close between McKinnon and Kucherov. I don't think it's a slam dunk. Defensively, spot on. It's Kale, it's Quinn Hughes, and Heddy's number 3, no doubt. And then goalie, that's the one thing. I would have Connor Hellebuck at number 2, Shesterkin at number 3. But hey, to each their own, right? It's an opinion, but I like to hear more from the players and less from kind of the media, and not have any type of bias or, well, that guy stiffed me for an interview. We had this conversation with Ian Beckles yesterday when we went back to our conversation about Terrell Owens, whether you think he's a good guy or not. And of course, we're not going to get any Christmas cards from the guy, but he's one of the best receivers of all time. The fact that it took for him to get 3 times through before he made it to the Hall of Fame. And for those guys, the Hall of Fame voters telling me, hey man, it's because the players wouldn't vouch for him, the coaches wouldn't vouch for him, and the local medias wouldn't vouch for him. All right, that's fine. I get that. But was he convicted of a mass murder, or was he sent to prison? Regardless of how you feel about the guy, I think there's certain numbers that you can't argue. I thought he was one of those guys. And Nikita Kucherov is going to continuously have things held against him because of the way he is. He's not the friendliest guy with the media. You guys know, I know that firsthand. What happened at the All-Star game last year in the skills competition, where he kind of muffed the first 2 of those passes and he kind of just lollygagged it the rest of the way. And people were freaking out. But I mean, that's just who he is. Like, he's not going to change. He is that same guy where he does not care about the public perception. The number one thing for him is to do whatever it takes to help his team win hockey games. And if you're a fan of the Tampa Bay Lightning, would you rather him be a guy that's going to be a guest on the Jay Recher podcast, a guy that's going to be in a bunch of commercials, or would you rather have him be a guy that's going to lead the league in scoring again? I don't think it's even close when you're trying to figure that answer out. He is who he is. We heard Manny being Manny in the 90s, in the 2000s to the Boston Red Sox. It's Cooch being Cooch here in the Tampa Bay area when it comes to draft. Bolts and Panthers tonight here live from Amalie Arena. And with the Panthers losing that game last night, Paul Maurice already kind of let the cat out of the bag that he's going to rest some of his big time guys, or maybe not play them as much. And we know the big name for the Florida Panthers is going to be Matthew Tkachuk. We haven't seen him since the Four Nations, and they're hoping that he's going to be ready for game 1. But do you expect a guy like that to be 100% after missing that much time? I don't. I think, especially if they don't know if he's 100% for game 1. So we played the video of Paul Bissonnette, Biz Nasty, or whatever everybody wants to call him there on TNT. And he's like, oh, it's a surefire thing. No doubt in my mind, the Panthers are going to beat the Lightning. I have a little respect for guys that are 2-time Stanley Cup champions. It's one thing to think that they're going to win. And I don't think that he's crazy to think that the Florida Panthers are going to beat the Lightning, especially because they're defending Stanley Cup champs. And I said the same thing about the Bolts when they were defending champs. You're the champ until somebody beats you. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! A little Ric Flair. Ric Flair lives right around the block here, so you got to bring him into the conversation whenever you can. But to act like the Lightning have no chance, especially with the injuries that Florida has dealt with. I don't think that they've exactly been lighting the world on fire since the trade deadline when they bought Brad Marchand in. You're incorporating Aaron Ekblad back into the team after getting suspended for 20 days or 20 games, excuse me. You lost guys in the offseason, which is just standard, right? You're losing to Brandon Montour and Lomberg and some of your depth guys because we know how important those depth guys are. The top guys cancel each other out in the playoffs. They'll get a goal. Your top guy will get a goal. Their top guy will get a goal, or they'll play so well against each other they'll cancel each other out. Neither team will score. It'll be that third line. It'll be that fourth line. The Yanni Gourds of the world, right? The Eetu Luostarinen of the world. Like those are the guys right there that are going to decide this first round playoff matchup if the Bolts do host the Cats. The Lightning have been fantastic on home ice. So again, there's just a lot of different things. When you start going down the reasons why I'm optimistic versus the reasons why I'm pessimistic, why I think this is a lot closer of a series than Paul Bissonnette thinks. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to look at the Cats and give them the nod. But let's not forget, you have Andrei Vasilevsky. Defensively, this team couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. Now you get better with two pieces, not just one. For all the love that we give a guy like Ryan McDonough, and deservedly so, J.J. Moser has been fantastic on the blue line for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he has slid right in to that right defense spot right next to Victor Hedman. And it's hand meat glove. He's been healthy after missing, 20 games in the middle of the season after picking up that injury there in Calgary against the Flames on that goal by Nazem Kadri. But if the Lightning go 11-7 or they go 12-6, I think they're going to be in good shape defensively with Andrei Vasilevsky and Heddy, Moser, McDonough, and Chernak. That you could argue they're the number one shutdown pair in the league. And then cycling around Lilleberg and Radish and Perbix. And I think Lily's gotten better as well. Scored his first goal in the first game on Sunday. And then offensively, does it look like Oliver Bjorkström? We haven't seen him at all. So that is worrisome. I don't know 100% if he's going to be back. I would say no for game one. I saw Luke Glendening on the ice today at Amalie Arena, so that is a positive sign. I think he would possibly be back. But Darren Radish is in the lineup. He will be in. We spoke to him a little bit earlier today as well. So all's good with him. Coop said as much. It was just a precaution bringing him out. I was joking with Ratty being a big golfer that he just came out of the game on Sunday because he wanted to see Rory win the Masters. He didn't deny it, but he actually was wearing a jacket today or a vest today from Wingfoot and Mamaroneck. So we'll talk about that with my cousin Martin Collins here in a second. But some of the Lightning guys were able to get out, which was really cool. But yeah, for Darren Radish to get back in the lineup, I think is huge. Connor Geekie and Gage Gonsalves, these two young players, both with the big club at times this year, both getting sent down to the AHL, coming back and showing that quote-unquote demotion did them good. They went down, they worked on the things that they needed to work on, and it looks like for now, Gord will be on that top line. So as of now, it'll be Gord, Point, and Kucherov, second line of Hagel, Sorelli, and Gensel. And then the third line with Nick Paul, Connor Geekie, and Gage Gonsalves. I mean, that depth is something that I was questioning right before the trade deadline. And they needed to get two guys in there. And the two guys they brought in, Gord and Bjorkstrand, all right, Ollie's down now, but it's Gord and it's Connor Geekie. That's a lineup that can win. And then your fourth line, hopefully, these guys will be back, but it'll be, a Bjorkstrand. Hopefully when he comes back, I think he'll be on the third line. He won't be a fourth line guy, but Mitchell Chafee's in the discussion. Zemgus Girgenson's in the discussion. Luke Glendening's in the discussion. I think you go 11-7. If Luke is in there for game one, I think it'll be him and Zemgus. And then Chafee's probably scratched. That's what we saw the last couple of weeks when everybody was healthy. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited though. 2 regular season games left for our Tampa Bay Lightning tonight here at Amalie Arena, 7:30 start against the Florida Panthers. And then Thursday night, MSG against the New York Rangers. Sam Rosen on the call there. We heard the big news yesterday that Kenny Albert, deservedly so, will be the next guy for the Rangers TV play-by-play voice. Congratulations to Kenny. All right, let's go back up to New York and let's bring him in. We've been touting him for the last day or so. It's my cousin Martin Collins. What's going on, Marty? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Jay? How am I? A little tired. When you're in that arena, when you're watching and rooting for Rory, it was emotional. It was draining. I was like, when the triple doubles and like score changes, it was wild. So I'm okay. They're probably a little more tired than me, but I'm all right.
Marty, I for those and people here in the Tampa Bay area, you know, I was touting you yesterday and earlier today on the show. Just give everybody kind of a little bit of your background and you know how much time you spent on a golf course during the week.
Well, pretty much 50 years on the golf course, caddying at Wingfoot. But I did do 2 years caddying at Augusta, like before the Wingfoot season started. My dad took me out to play Wingfoot's 1 and 9 West. He was the caddy. He wasn't quite the caddy master yet. Before the 74 Open at Wingfoot. So I played 1 and 9 when I was 9 years old, 1974, before the massacre at Wingfoot. So that's how long I've been around the game of golf. As far as up to a couple of days ago at Augusta National on Sunday, rooting for Rory. So it's been a great game. It's been cool.
You've caddied for 8 U.S. Open winners: Lee Janzen, Andy North, Raymond Floyd, Arnold Palmer, Ken Venturi, Tom Watson, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Tiger Woods.
That is correct.
I did my homework. That's why I got it like it's one of my write it down things, and I didn't tell you that's unbelievable that you led with that. So you are on. I'm on it, man. It's the family thing, man. You got to
Arnold Palmer 3 times.
Unbelievable, man. Did you happen to see any of the Lightning guys that were over there the other day?
I did not see Lightning guys. It was more NFL quarterbacks, and including one X1 that's a member now, Eli Manning. But we saw a few. Josh Arnold walked by. There was a couple. That was the quarterback, you know. So I didn't see him. But the new quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars was there. So
nice.
there was more like NFL quarterbacks. For some reason, that's who we were bumping into.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, man. Yeah. So to be able to see, how many times have you been to Augusta for the Masters?
That was my 10th, and it was my so I did. That was my third like every day. Like there's the 2 years I worked there. I went to every day, Thursday through. 1 year I worked the Masters. I worked in the pro shop above the pro shop before it became all high tech and amazing. But that was 97. That was my first year there, working there. When I caddied there, Tiger Woods won by 12. It was like, doesn't this happen every year? I mean, it was wild. So to be able to go to that one and Rory's career Grand Slam is pretty cool. And then so there was a couple in the beginning of my life, and then lately I've been going. I've got a nice little run after COVID. I've gone to the last 4. But to go to all 4 is not usual. I usually get a ticket for a practice round, or that's what a lot of people are in for one day. Maybe they'll go a Monday and a Wednesday or something, or one practice round and one regular day. But to get all 4, it's there's work involved. There's a lot of walking. There's a lot of walking. There's a lot. You get up early. You got to get there. We did the chairs. We put our chairs down on 16. Right by the water at the end of the stand, and watched the shots go over and scoreboard watched, which was huge. That we spent all morning for every player to go through 5 green, which was cool. 5 and 16. It was a really nice watch them early, watch them late. But scoreboard watching was absolutely wild to see, and you would know when he put it down, it wasn't a birdie because I didn't hear a roar. And then you would see the higher number, the little lower numbers, 11 under, 10 under 9. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, he's not even leading. Rory, Rose led for a hole. And I mean, it was electric, and there was oohs and ahs. There was scoreboard watching moans. You'd be like, that wasn't a birdie or a bogey. That was another scoreboard when the kid changes, or the man or woman changes the board and puts the different number on. So, but then when they got to 16, I saw Rory's shot land and run towards the hole on 15, and then I saw a beautiful shot on 16. Yeah. But he missed the putt on 15, and he missed the putt on 16. But the cool thing was when we were on 3 in an earlier round, The Masters app is the greatest thing in the world. It's the greatest app in the world. You could just go to Rory McIlroy on Saturday on 3, hit it, boom, and then they'll show all 4 shots. After he made the putt on 3, he kind of went like this to the crowd, and then we freeze framed it, and then you could see me, giving the putt. So I'm going to try and frame that because I have a picture of me the day after the Masters in '97 with the scoreboard over my shoulder on 18 with Tiger Woods in an astronomical under par, and then Tom Kite and about 15 shots left. So those will be 2 of my. I'll try to get those photos.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you about that. I'm glad you did, about what your approach is to going and watching, because Mom and Dad have come down from Long Island the last 3 years to attend the Valspar, which is a great PGA tournament event here in Palm Harbor. And the last couple of years, we've sat right outside the 8th green because it's a par 3 and you could see them come down to you. You see them walk and they walk right by you. And then this year, we actually, for the final round, because we go Friday and Sunday, like you said, this year for Sunday, we got our chairs and we were by the 18th green. And it was an incredible finish with Justin Thomas and Victor Hovland. So Mom and Dad, man, they love it. They're already ready for next March, man. They're trying to get back down.
It's like that. You're just like, let's go again. It's so much fun. But you're right. It's like I did the 3rd green, and when they had the tee down on 4 on Thursday or Friday, it was great because I could just watch them putt on 3 and watch them tee off, and I could see the shots go into 4. But when the Sunday and the weekend, they had the tee back, so the crowd would block you, so you couldn't see it. So we did walk up and watch them. It was kind of fun to watch the pros take head covers off on a par 3. I watched Dustin Johnson try to cut a 5-wood. I couldn't believe it. Like on a downhill par 3, but it's like 240 into the wind.
Yeah. It's humbling, man. The most humbling sport there is. What was it like, Marty, to see when Rory finally wins and just the emotion? And I thought on the TV broadcast, it was a great job by Jim Nance and Trevor Immelman. They just let the moment breathe. And man, it just, you could feel the emotion. And it wasn't just him and seeing that weight come off of his shoulders, but also the love and the adoration that everybody had for him to get the career Grand Slam. What was it like to be in that environment, to see a guy that has lived his struggles in the public eye finally get over that hump?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I ended up seeing it on the app in my car on the left. So again, the Masters app's fantastic. I watched the putts. But after 16, and when he played 16 and walked up to 17, got the chairs together, start walking up, hit the bathroom, we were lucky to get that. And then we walk up and there's the whole world is up there, up on the tee. Some people were going all the way right down to 10, thinking that was the playoff hole. Some were going to 16, but it was like 10, 15 deep everywhere. And then we walked up the hill to the green on 18, and I'm telling you what, it was like people were lined up. That crowd overhead shot is incredible. It is so deep. You'd have to be there all day waiting to see, I think. So we did it a great way, but it was you get to root for him when he's in front of you, like on 16. We gave him a big ovation when he walked across the water on 16. That's where I was when they start walking across the water. He was pretty serious. Like every other player kind of waved, and it was in the middle. I don't know how he birdied the 73rd hole. After what he went through emotionally and what he did, I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most memorable moments, I think, in the last 25 years in sports, just because of how emotional it was. We've been so lucky the last couple of weeks. I've said that, we saw Alexander Ovechkin break the goal record. We've seen Rory. Cool. Yeah, we've seen Rory McIlroy now join 5 other golfers. I mean, and to think that, Marty, you've seen golfers, something Arnold didn't do. You know what I mean? It's crazy to think that Rory, how wild is that, Marty, to know that a guy like Rory McIlroy is now one of 6 players to ever grace God's green earth, to pick up a golf club and to be able to win all 4 majors.
I told my friend that I was with, I said, there's a graveyard of unbelievably great golfers that are not going to win that. I mean, it is a ton of them. Some of the greatest of all time, including Arnold Palmer. I know it was match play some of the years when he played a different type of tournament, but it's a hard thing. You have to play different games. The Open champion, the British Open, you have to play the PGA is set up differently. The U.S. Open, the Masters, they're all set up different. They're all different type of golf course. So you got to be a complete player, which I really believe Rory. I love the way he talked, his mental talk before saying, "Well, I'm different now. I have a different type of game," and he showed, at those shallow. they abandoned him on 13 and. An 72nd hole, the wedges, but it came back and hit the good one on 73rd. But that doesn't mean he didn't work on him and brought him to that spot, and he was fantastic. And I just didn't want to go through a year of him not having won that. It would have been pretty. He had to win that. And I was yelling at, "You better make this putt on 18, like on 73rd hole." I said I didn't want to have invested all that energy rooting for him, and but he did, and it's fantastic. And he's putting that green jacket on, seeing him, he's a very happy man, and the camaraderie in sports is so cool. When his best friend Shane Lowry gave him a big hug, and people were happy for him, which is cool. It's good.
I think that's a big thing about life, right? It's one thing to have your own successes and your own triumphs, but when you see how other people react to your success, I think that says a lot about your character, and it says a lot about the kind of guy or gal you really are. So to see the jubilation, everybody there at Augusta, whether it was, the fans or whether it was, like you said, Shane Lowry or even Justin Rose, you could tell he was upset that he lost, but there was also like that, hey man, like this was your time, and I love that. He's all class, and that is beautiful, wasn't it?
Hats off to Justin Rose. As great as a display he put on the course, and for his age, he's not 30. He's not the young. He's one of the older guys, and for him to do that and take on Rory like that, and be so professional and nice at the end, like him and his caddy, they giving hugs, and I know they're same team, the European team, the whole they're in here together. They definitely are. So, but still, that's how tight they are. So it's really cool. I
got to ask you about the guys that you've caddied for. I'll ask you about Tiger in a second. I want to ask you about Arnold Palmer. You said you did it 3 times, and I heard one of the stories that you caddied for him during a Xerox. It was during something there, and
yes,
he called you a different name, and then you called him Jack. Like, tell us that story. That's great.
We spent all day together, and I was wearing a Rolex watch, and we were on the 7th hole, and we were playing, the hole. Then we'd walk back to the tee for the next group to come up, and sometimes they're slow and shotguns, so we'd be chipping, and I got pictures of me chipping with him. I made a chip shot, and I got a picture of him, like what the heck, great day. It was his dentist was there, Howdy Giles, who took pictures all the time, and I didn't even know he was taking them. Took beautiful pictures, and we were having a great day. And I thought we were buddies. We were. It was good that we were buddies. He makes you feel like that. He really did. And then we got to the into the clubhouse, and they were saying all of a sudden they were rushing them into the clubhouse, like they got meetings and stuff. They want to introduce them, and so he was all of a sudden had to go really quickly. And he goes, so do you want to put anything in your bag? He's like, yeah, here's my glove. Thanks, Jim. So I go, I'm a young teenager, but I've been in the caddy yard for a few years. I go, you got it, Jack. And then the guys stopped. They were in such a rush. They stopped and they looked at me like, you know who this is? This isn't Jack. This is Arnold Palmer. I go, yes. And I'm not Jim. I'm Martin. And I swear to God, they were like, okay, and they went in the locker room. And the next day, I'm caddying them every day. Just another day, and I'm 9 going to 10 West Day. My dad goes, "Hey, Marty, come on, there's guys from Xerox in the pro shop want to talk to you." I'll never forget. In my mind, I go, "It was only a joke. I was just kidding. I'm a kid. I'm a young guy." So I go in the pro shop, and they're in suits. They're in the old, the suits, and they got a frame. They got something this big with in paper, brown paper, and there's like, Mr. Palmer had a great day with you yesterday. They wanted you to have this. So, oh, great, thank you. So I ripped it open. My guys are on the tee. I gotta rip it. It's this already framed photo, candid photo of me with the pin and Arnie neck, like the guy. It was like he does it for himself, but it's almost like Ken Griffey Jr. taking photos, like professional. I don't know if you saw that industry in Augusta.
Yeah.
He was. They said, and it was autographed and signed, and I had a great time with you, Martin. Best wishes, and then I'm like, I know he deals with a million people all the time, so I forgave him, and I got the best picture in the world from it. So Arnie was. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Where's that picture now, Marty?
It's in my apartment in New York.
There you go.
Yeah, I got it.
What was it like caddying for Tiger Woods?
On Facebook, that's my profile picture. I'm always looking at that picture.
That's the best one, man. That's one of the best ones that you could have. I remember when you caddied for Tiger, it found its way through the family. My Uncle Wally oh yeah, cousin Marty did this. I was like, what? Tiger Woods? Tell us what was that like caddying for one of the biggest superstars in golf history?
Golf Week actually wrote a little article about it. It was after Augusta, not too long, that he won by 12 shots, and his Tiger mania is through the roof. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's rocket ship now. And it's a couple of months later, he's going to play Winged Foot as a practice round for the 97 PGA. But it's not till for a month or so. But they're in town because the Buick is in Harrison, New York. Butch Harmon's a member. They're going to come over and play on Monday, then go play Westchester because the Buick is a sponsor. He's got to play in that. So and then they'll be back in a month or so to play the PGA. And Butch, being a member, the coach at the time said, call my dad. He goes, don't tell anybody, please. We don't want the press. We don't want anything. All right, okay. So I didn't have a car for a couple of months, maybe that summer. Dad picks me up at 6:30. He goes, good morning, Mark. I go, good morning, Dad. He goes, you're going to be caddying for Tiger Woods at 7:30. And I was just like, oh, great. Okay, super. And meanwhile, now I'm like, I'm doing the Ludwig Goldberg. Yeah. That's cool. Meanwhile, inside, I'm going nuts. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Tiger Woods. This is the golfer in the world right now, the number one. And so we went out there and we had a wonderful time. Like it was great to be with him the whole thing, but he was studying the course with Butch Harmon. Mm-hmm. I had more of a conversation with Fluff and Jerry Chang and the other caddies. We hung out together, Butch but I got to see him hit a shot up close, a couple of trick shots, like he just took the wedge underneath and he just grabbed it and handed it to Butch. And Butch was like, God, Jesus. He hit a shot on the 16th hole from 247 yards, like a draw, 4-iron. I couldn't believe it because he was like level 5, like power, and he was only playing at like level 2, and I didn't know it. It looked like he was playing good. Like this guy isn't that long. He's not. They got reserve stuff that he had reserves upon reserves, and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna. I was just what's called backtrolling. Butch will talk to him. I was like, he's gonna tell him there's a bunker in front of 16 you don't want to be in. Although I'm in Pinehurst right now, and DeChambeau didn't have much trouble with that one on number 2, but that's a different story. But he goes, he hits it and it carries onto the green. I was like, wow, that was different from anything I'd ever seen. But you got a couple of seconds?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fluff played with him, and he was a couple of holes late. Dude, they got to go. They're playing. So then he comes up on a card on the 12th hole. Fluff is his caddy at the time. And Fluff, the first thing he gets, the card goes, where's Martin Collins? Yeah, what's up, Fluff? I didn't really know him. He was like, your sister Terry says hello. I just had coffee with her and your brother-in-law, John. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So he was at the airport. It's a sad story. Fluff, the caddy for Squeaky, the caddy for Nick Price, had died. And the funeral was in Ohio, and he flew back to Westchester. That's why they were in town to play the Buick. And he couldn't find his keys to his car keys. He was a mess. So my brother John Bannon knows him, and he knew him, and he's like, "Hey Fluff, what's going on?" He says, "Oh, he was at the airport because he was playing golf out in Ohio." Flew back, and he's looking at him at the airport, like, "You okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm supposed to play Winged Foot tomorrow. I don't have my rental car keys. I'm all messed up. He's like, don't worry about it. My father-in-law is the caddy master there. We'll put you up for the night. Don't worry. So he stayed over my sister's house the night before, came up, and then I'm like, oh. So I always kid around. This guy's got a million golf stories. I go, I got a better story for him. I kid around about this. And then I'm like, oh, and then all of a sudden he was hosting the one of the players that night. But anyway, watching Tiger his playing back then was incredible. He was incredible.
Yeah, he is. And I am at Amalie Arena for the Lightning game. They got some stuff going on in the background. Before I let you go, Marty, I got to ask you if you could caddy for one player that you've already caddied for, if you could do it one more time, who would that be? And if you could caddy for a current player that you've never caddied for, who would it be?
Oh, wow. Well, we'll go with players we talked about. Definitely Rory McIlroy he'd be fun to caddy for. And especially now, one of the rare of all golfers to win all four majors, the career Grand Slam winner. So then I could say I caddy for multiple career Grand Slam winners. Current that I have already, if Arnold Palmer, like if he was alive, I would go with him. It was that much fun. He's that nice of a person, and that much. But he has to be alive right now, right? So it has to be somebody that's. Let's see. Who would that I have caddied before? Like. I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know.
We can go with Arnie. We can go with Arnie. That's cool.
Okay, let me go with it.
Yeah, we'll let you go with Arnie, man. You got a great story. I mean, many people are gonna have.
I appreciate that.
Unbelievable.
Nice. So yeah, I appreciate this. This was a fun conversation, Jake.
Yeah, thank you, Marty. Martin Collins, my cousin over there. If you ever go to Wingfoot, go look out for him. He's probably pointing everybody in the right direction. He knows the lay of the land better than everybody. Marty, it's been great catching up with you, man, and hope to do it again soon. Have a great rest of your week.
You too, Jay. Take care, bud.
See ya. Good stuff, man. Wow, unbelievable conversation. Listen, that is what it's all about. Just the stories for golf is just they're legendary, and I've heard about these stories secondhand. Third hand, many years from my dad and from my uncle, and to be able to get it from Marty himself, insane. That story with Arnold Palmer, that's the wit, man. That's when you tell them that story, it's like, all right, well, you could tell somebody that's you're related to, right? Because that's exactly the same thing that I would say to somebody. Like I feel like I've done something similar to that. But it's you don't even think about it. It's subconscious. Like somebody calls you the wrong name, regardless of who they are, you call them the wrong name right back. Especially when you spend all day with them. It's one thing if you meet somebody once, but when you spend all day with them, regardless if it's Arnold Palmer or not. But I love it. What a great conversation. So if you missed any of that, we'll post it up on the channel here. Really good stuff with Marty Collins. We'll have to have him back on again. Talk some more golf. But yeah, even the day after, people are still talking about Rory McIlroy here at the Tampa Bay Lightning Arena here at Amalie. We were joking around with Darren Radish. Oh, what happened? You got taken out of the game on Sunday. You just wanted to see Rory win, you son of a gun. He said that there was coaches on the team that were saying the same thing. Good stuff there. Real quick, Greg Wyshynski is going to join us in about 7 minutes or so. The Tampa Bay Rays 16-1 over the Boston Red Sox last night, moving to 8-8 on the season. One in the first, opposite field home run or a center field for Yandy Diaz, but Yandy's starting to pick it up, and we were calling him out. And I know some people are like, "Oh yeah, Yandy's doing better now." It doesn't take away from him not performing well in the first 12, 13 games or so. Said he needed to pick it up, and now he's done so. 2 for 4, the solo shot there in the first to get this team headed in the right direction. But you look at the outburst against Tanner Houck, the right-hander for the Boston Red Sox. That is a line that he will want to forget. 2 1/3, 10 hits, 12 runs, 11 of them earned. His ERA now up to 9.16. Homer wasn't much better, giving up 3 runs. His ERA at 10.13. You look 16 hits spread across everybody from the Tampa Bay Rays. Every single player in the starting lineup last night scored a run. And you just look at the contributions from Caminero and Aranda and Christopher Morel. Listen, Morel's got some swing and miss to his game. You may see an 0 for 4 with 3 punch-outs, but when he makes contact, that ball jumps off of the bat. So for Christopher Morel, This is the kind of guy that you wanted to see when he came across in that deal for Isaac Paredes. Cam Meisner, 3 for 4 last night, batting .400. Mangum, 2 for 3. His average is at .311. You start looking at some of these guys, and we say, all right, they're going to come back down to earth eventually. Well, are they? It looks like even though the book has been out on these guys, it's more than just, all right, they've been doing well for a week. I mean, we're going into, we're looking at 16 games already into the season. So if you look at the offense with these guys, it doesn't seem like they're having too much difficulties to the adjustments, because now the book is out, right? How many games that they've played so far. Usually you say, all right, the guy has a good week, the guy has 2 weeks, but now we're going 16 games into the season. They're not sneaking up on anybody. The Boston Red Sox knew exactly what Meisner and Mangum have brought to the table so far, and they still couldn't get him out. 5 hits between both of those guys last night. So this is a good sign for the Tampa Bay Rays moving forward. You got to continue to swing the bat. Keep the foot on the gas pedal. And lost in all of that is the performance by Shane Baz. Remember where you heard this first. But I wouldn't be surprised if Shane Baz is the guy that is representing, or one of the guys that is representing the Tampa Bay Rays in the All-Star game this year. He's 2-0 after that win last night. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, no walks again, and 11 punch-outs. Don't be surprised if he stays on this path. Just the way, it's not that he's just getting guys out. It's not that he's just winning. It's how he's getting. He's dominating guys. He's not just, pitching okay and doing. Listen, he gave up 1 run. That was the solo shot to Christian Campbell, and that was it. Only 1 other hit. He's keeping runners off the bases, 11 strikeouts. I mean, I know it's only April 15th, and we got, 3 months to go before we get to the All-Star break. But this kid right now is showing me that he can be a top-of-the-rotation arm. We're wondering, Shane Baz, right? What are we going to get from this guy? Because as much as we love what the deal looked like, Glasnow, Meadows, and Baz for Chris Archer, we get that. But we still haven't seen Shane Baz, who's the last guy standing from that deal. What is he going to be? Is he going to be a back end of the rotation guy? Is he going to be a 2 or a 3? Or is he going to be a top-tier guy? Now you're looking at him. He looks like an ace. He looks like an ace of the staff. And I would say that the only guy that really rivals the type of stuff that he has is Shane McClanahan. I think he's got better stuff than Taj Bradley. He's got better stuff than Pepio. He's got better stuff than Littell. I don't know if he's got better stuff than Joe Boyle. We'll see if he comes back. But, I mean, right now, Shane Baz, the way he's throwing the baseball, again, I think he looks like he's on his way to being an all-star this year for the American League. Still early, but I love it. I love it. Rays back in action tonight against Boston once again, duplicating the performances. That's what good teams do. They don't go into the crapper after a big game last night and struggle to score runs. Right back at it tonight. Ryan Pepio on the mound, 1-1 with a 3.38 ERA. Walker Buehler, his former Los Angeles Dodgers teammate, 1-1 with a 5.74 ERA. Buehler, a free agent signing from Boston in the offseason. You know what he can do. And he was fantastic in the playoffs last year. He's got the stones, man. He is not going to be afraid. He's not going to be overwhelmed by the moment. So, once again, early and off that offense, even if it's just 1 run, you see the difference. Just the crack in the foundation. Just by getting 1 run in the first goes such a long way. Yandy has really stepped up his game the last couple of games. Love to see what I've seen from Junior and Redwork bringing that up as well. Backwards, it's Crowder. I wonder if that's the name. Junior is starting to bowl out as well. You saw him make the error the other day, and he was upset about that, and then he hit a freaking bomb to left center field. Stack these wins. Not just series wins, but game wins. And if you have an opportunity to sweep series, don't get into a spot where you win this game tonight, and then you're like, it's okay, we won the series, and you let off. No, don't do that. In the AL East, where it's kind of who's going to take the bull by the horns early in the season, seems everybody's kind of muddled around that 500 mark. I wasn't surprised. If you listened to me before the season, I was not surprised about Baltimore struggling. I don't see it, especially with the pitches. I don't see it at all. But yeah, we know what the Yankees can bring to the table. We'll see if they get healthier as the year goes on. Kind of funny. I don't know if you guys saw Juan Soto in the New York Post talking about, oh, it's different now when I don't have the best hitter in the world behind me. Yeah, should have thought about that, buddy. So no sympathy for Juan Soto. You getting all that money. What did you think was going to happen? And that's part of the reason why I thought that deal was worse for the Mets than it would have been for the Yankees. Who is hitting behind Juan Soto that's going to scare you? Sorry, and I love Pete Alonso, and Francisco Lindor's batting leadoff for you. You're not going to hit Lindor behind Soto. So you got to be cognizant of things like that. Your lineup, how you deploy your lineup and how these guys fit in. You don't think that's something that the Rays do? The Rays are looking at these guys and looking at where they fit in the order. And I know there's going to be people that are going to call for Meisner and Mangum and be like, oh, they should hit higher in the lineup. It's different, man. It's not the same. Don't rush those guys to the top of the order. It's not that big of a deal. You have to understand what it takes to be able to bat third in a major league lineup. It's not for the faint of heart. You're getting everybody's best. You're not getting any type of fastballs that you think you're going to be able to hit in hitters counts. You're going to pitch backwards, off speed. That's why you'll see guys struggling and coaches don't move them because you're like, all right, they'll figure a way out of it. They're not hitting like that because of the situation for them is too big. Like when a guy like Brandon Lau struggles. It's not so easy. You're like, oh, yeah, just put Mangum up there. It's not the way it works. And again, going back to this conversation when we talked about Junior Caminero, right? For Junior, that's why I didn't want to hear anybody talk about, oh, the pressure. Bro, this kid's built for this. You're having him bat in the middle of the lineup. Don't tell me you're concerned about the pressure that Junior Caminero is facing if you're batting him third in the lineup. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. He's ready to win. And the Rays, let's see if they can carry over some of those runs from last night's affair. All right, let's get back to some hockey talk, and we'll do it with our pal, ESPN's Greg Wyshynski. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. It's almost playoff time. I'm like most of the elite teams in the NHL. I'm like just ready to get it over with and get going with the playoff stuff already.
Yeah, I was so close to asking John Cooper after morning skate today, is this your least favorite time of year? Because he's answered the same questions, and we gotta ask him, right? But it's just like, well, at this point, it's like we just want to be healthy, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not only that; it's just like counting down the days until inevitability, which is to play a really tough team in the first round because you're in the Atlantic, and then hoping that you don't have some catastrophic injury that all of a sudden subverts all the good things you've done. So it's like it's got to be tough. It's got to be. You just want to wrap all these guys in bubble wrap and hope for the best as you count down the games.
Yeah, I wonder if they could like punt these games. Like if they had the chance, like, do you want to play this game or do you want to take a forfeit? Like, we'll take a forfeit. It looks like it's going to be Panthers Bolts in round one. What's kind of your overall summation of how this shakes out? Because I think there's just, as much as we look at it, you're like, all right, it's the defending champ against a team like the Lightning that knows what it takes, and McDonough against Old and just kind of that stuff. But it's just like there's some wild cards here too, as far as like what's the deal with Matthew Tkachuk? Like, are they going to miss some of the secondary guys that every single cup team loses in free agency? What are you looking for in this series if it looks like we're heading in that direction?
Yeah, I think your second point is an interesting one, only because they did have so much atrophy from the cup team last season. Little role players here and there, you lose them, and all of a sudden you think back, and every Lightning fan knows that once you start losing the guys on the third and fourth line, sometimes the team ain't the same as it was during the glory years. And they have been glory years for the Panthers. I think you can't underestimate how many miles are on those tires after two very long and physical runs to the Stanley Cup final, of course, winning it last year. The thing that's interesting for me, and the part I'm having a little trouble getting my head around, is the idea that the Bolts have been an offensive juggernaut basically since Four Nations. I think they're third in the league in goals for at 5-on-5 since that point. And the Panthers have not. Now, like you said, they're missing a pretty big component in Matthew Tkachuk. Once he comes back, you expect those metrics will probably turn around in their favor. But when the Lightning get locked in and they play the kind of style they can play, where they're overwhelming you offensively, it's a tough team to beat. I'm very curious about this series. I think the default setting for a lot of us is to just assume that the Panthers are going to make it through again, but I think the Lightning are a lot better than maybe people expect them to be.
Yeah, it's a weird, and I don't disagree with you. I feel the acquisition of a guy like, has anybody had a quieter 40-goal season than Jake Gensel?
Yeah.
Like I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. I was like, who's the Lightning's MVP this year? And they went down like all these names, and there was like 6 players they went to, and I go, you didn't even mention Jake Gensel, and he has 40 goals, and he leads the NHL in power play goals.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like,
so unassuming.
I think they're being slept on. Like, I mean, people don't know the season McDonough's had. People don't know the season that Gensel's had. People don't know that, if absent Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Hagel's probably the best player on the team right now. Like, all of these things that if you've watched the Bolts, you understand about this Bolts team. I think a lot of people don't quite know how good they are. And maybe the one part of it, and perhaps with the NHLPA players poll coming out today, people will wise up to it. The season that Vasilevsky's had, where all of a sudden, I mean, he looks vintage again. And so, I expect when people start making their picks in the Battle of Florida, you kind of know where they're going. I mean, one team hoisted the cup last season, has Matthew Tkachuk, has shown they know how to win in the playoffs, while the other team is trying to reprove it. But I might swerve on that one a little bit. Like, I really like what John Cooper's done with this team, and I like the composition of this current Lightning team a lot too.
Look at you with the swerve reference. Whose house? Swerve's house.
Swerve's house.
Like AEW action, but we're no hate for Booker T here. I don't know if you saw that. The whole beat that is crazy. Yeah, I know. Cooch the other night in the middle of the second period just started like, he had that look on his face again, like, oh yeah, playoffs are coming, and he just started skating around and taking the puck away from everybody. Yeah, he gets in these weird modes where it's like for a week you're like, does he really care? What's the deal? And then he just turns it up to another level where he literally, it's almost like a 12-year-old playing against 9-year-old. He starts skating around the ice, taking the puck, shooting, getting the rebound, taking the puck away, and it's just like, geez, man, it's amazing.
You would know this better than I would. Like, does it matter to them that the Panthers are the Panthers now? Like, I'm sure that, listen, they hate each other. Like, there's definitely always been a rivalry between these teams ever since maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. Probably it got ratcheted up when Tkachuk arrived. But like, do you think it bothers them that the Panthers of all teams have risen up and become a cup champion, and while the Lightning have kind of faded back a little bit?
I think that, and I wonder if teams are like this more of, I don't get that sense with this Lightning team that it's, I had this conversation with Callahan when he first got traded here, and he was just like, Jay, the Rangers and the Islanders, the Rangers and the Devils, the Rangers and the Capitals. We had so many different rivalries with everybody. Everybody hated each other. Yeah. But the Lightning, it's almost like they almost grade themselves to their own bar, right? So it's even like, hey, they did their thing. Like, we weren't good enough. Now they're looking at it as like, we got McDonough back, right? I feel like it's almost like the Avengers getting another guy back. Like they were able to get to Thanos, right? And now it's that scene where people are coming through and like, oh snap, here comes the Winter Soldier, right? Like, and that's what McDonough's done. So
McDonough and Gord came through the portals. That makes Gensel Captain Marvel, I guess. Like, he's kind of coming in from the outside at the last moment to save the day. I think it works.
They're all of a sudden, like, all the artillery is moving towards the other side, and it's Jake Gensel and his 17 power play goals. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Listen, I know you, and I remember one of your articles that you wrote many years ago about hockey players and WWE superstars. Like, you're like me. You're always thinking like, how do we put all this stuff together? All these crazy things in our mind. I want to ask you about the NHLPA voting. I thought I was going to get a good clip from Cooper today, and he's like, it means we have good players. Everybody respects them. Thanks, Coop. I was expecting something a little bit more verbose here. But what did you make of, and I saw you quote tweeted one of them. I was with you. The fact that Connor Hellebuck doesn't get more love around the league is astounding. Even he just represented Team USA, and they went to the gold medal game. What else besides that stood out to you? Anything else surprising?
I want to touch on that for a second, because like you said, he doesn't get enough love. Well, maybe we give him too much love. Like, I am not a default setting players guy. Like, there are people that have played in this game that are on television that I think are morons. And I don't just think that they know more than me because they played hockey. I know that's very snooty snotty, but players sometimes buy into narratives quicker than a writer does, which is saying something. That being said, like, the fact that he was third behind Vasilevsky and Shecherkin at a time when we all assume he's going to waltz to his like second straight Vezina, I thought was shocking. Like that's the only truly shocking result in the entire player poll. The rest of it was interesting, like Sid coming away with most complete player for the 6th straight season, but Barkov closing the margin to it being under 20 votes between them. I thought that, you know, the default settings of McDavid winning best forward and Makar winning best defenseman, we're just going to see that in perpetuity.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the goalie thing is what really jarred me in that player poll a lot. I was really stunned to see it, only because Hellebuck won the Vezina last year and did nothing this season to, you know, sway that mindset that he was going to win it again.
Yeah, and we were in Toronto last year, and I was the only member of the Tampa Bay media there. And I remember just walking around, and you know, in between, people asking me if Kucherov was drunk because of what happened at the skills competition, and I was like, no, if he was drunk, he probably would have won. But everybody, and there was just so many people as I walk around, they're like, yeah, it's McKinnon's year, it's his turn. I'm like, there's still 30 games left. What are you talking about? Like, do you sense that too? And it might just be preaching to the choir. It seems like at times, like I still can't wrap my head around that people would think that Austin Matthews is a top 3 Selke guy, and Kucherov is a top 5 MVP candidate last year. There was people that actually said that. Like, are you there? It's mind boggling, man.
By the way, Kucherov got the 2nd smartest player in the league, according to the people that answered that question, which you know, that's fascinating to me. I don't know how you quantify smart. I guess maybe like hockey sense, and then you see the way the guy distributes the puck. It makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, like Adam Fox made the top 5 because he went to Harvard. So I mean, like, I don't know how these guys process smartest player. No, there isn't enough respect and love for Kucherov and what he does. I mean, you know, if you look at the Hart Trophy standings in our latest awards watch, you know, Draisaitl's got the inside lane amongst skaters. Hellebuck's going to be right there amongst goalies. Kucherov, I think, was right outside the top 3 with McKinnon right in front of him, but he definitely had a decent amount of passion behind his candidacy to maybe be a finalist. But I mean, for all he's done and for the gap between him and the next highest scorer on the team, he's probably at best the 3rd choice right now for the Hart Trophy, according to the voters.
Yeah, it's funny because he's going to win the Art Ross again. And it's funny because you are the only guy that does something like this. And the same thing happened last year. You have an anonymous source, somebody saying the exact same thing that we say down here. I don't understand how this guy just continuously does not get the love. And it may be because he's abrasive at times, and he's not the most like, hey, I'm going to go do 16 commercials. You know, he's not going to do the Baby Bjorn commercial with Hedman and Stammer. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I guess, you know,
let me give you my theory. My theory is that people think his team is too stacked. You know, like we all talk about Draisaitl and McDavid, but the fact of the matter is that Draisaitl has played a significant a higher number of games than McDavid has, or at least he had been until McDavid got healthy. And so, you know, the year he won the Hart, Draisaitl, was the year he played more games than McDavid, and also McDavid was kind of ordinary by his standards, and that's sort of the same thing that's playing out now. Hellebuck, nobody thinks the Jets are all that good, even though they're the President's Trophy winning team. So he's going to get the lion's share of the credit for them being as good as they are. I think when people look at Kucherov, they look at Point, and they look at Gensel, and they look at Hagel now, and they look at Hedman, and before that Stamkos, and they say to themselves, you know, he's got enough around him that no wonder he gets this many points. So I think there's a certain amount of that level of bias towards him. Right. When in actuality, it's like, hey, why do you think all these other guys get their points? Like, it's because they have the key to Kucherov on their team.
That's true. It's like the chicken and the egg, right? It's crazy. All right. Enough of the hockey talk. Let's talk about WrestleMania. I wanted to get some good time for wrestling talk with you today. WrestleMania 41. I'm gonna leave it up to you, man. What's the number one storyline you're looking into going into this weekend?
Well, it's Cena and Cody. I'm intrigued to see. Well, one, if they're gonna, you know, put the belt on Cena now, or make it more of a pursuit as the year goes on. There probably is a path back to the light side of the force for him, if he rejects his evil ways and gets the crowd behind him for a face run at the belt if he doesn't win it at Mania. And then the other thing obviously is the triple threat on Saturday with Punk and Rollins and Reigns, which I guess is Paul Heyman on a pole match. I mean, it seems like the entire pivot for this whole thing is whereas Paul Heyman's loyalty is going to ultimately lie. And then the sidebar to that, as you and I have watched this sport for a very long time, is it's the first time CM Punk's main eventing WrestleMania.
Right.
Does he come away with a victory in that match, or does he do what CM Punk would normally do, which is end up on his back in a spot like that? So I don't know. It's 2 very interesting days of wrestling. They've done a really good job of building up some. I mean, hell, like I didn't give 2 damns about Jey Uso and Gunther, and then all of a sudden Gunther painted his body with Jay's brother's blood, and now I'm a lot more interested. So they do a good job of making everything on the cards at least a little compelling, and that's why WrestleMania remains a very special time.
You kind of knew that when Jimmy slapped the taste out of Gunther's mouth, that it was like, oh shit, like something's gonna happen here, and he's gonna get destroyed. And maybe there would be some color, but the way that he bled was like, it was I Jim Ross and Crimson Mask, he's bleeding like a stuffed pig. Like I was thinking about, I'm thinking the 80s, I'm thinking 90s, I'm thinking craziness. And you're right, like I was like, oh, okay, I'm invested in this now.
And so it takes that match from plucky underdog who has the crowd behind him to a guy who watched his opponent use his own brother's blood like he was getting a spa treatment and just rubbing it all over his body like he was exfoliating with Jimmy's blood. So I think that took it to an interesting place. I don't know. It's a good card. I mean, some of the title matches you could take or leave. But, the Cody Cena thing and the triple threat and the Gunther match are like the 3 I'm most excited about and probably the 3 that'll be the ones we talk about when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's funny you said Paul Heyman on a pole. I always think of when it's a person on the pole, I always think the Judy Bagwell on a pole match.
That's the reference.
Crazy.
But I mean, usually when it's a manager or an advisor or a wise man, whatever you want to call him, it's usually shark cage above the ring is usually where we go with it. But I don't know. It's all great. I mean,
does Paul Heyman go with Seth Rollins after this? I feel like Seth Rollins needs to win, right? I mean, I feel like this is very Chris Jericho in a match with Kurt Angle and The Rock and Stone Cold. Like, who gets the most out of this? Like, if Roman gets this, is it going to help him? I don't know.
Well, for those who may not be aware, like the whole crux of the match is that Paul Heyman is with CM Punk because he owed CM Punk a favor for Punk stepping up and helping Roman Reigns. And then Heyman's Roman Reigns' guy, and Reigns is pissed off that he gave him this favor. And now Seth Rollins believes that he's owed a favor from Paul Heyman for not beating the crap out of him, which I'm pretty sure is extortion. I don't think that's how favors work. But it's all very interesting. And at the end of the day, like you said, it's gonna be Paul hitting someone, for my money, hitting someone with an old-timey cell phone that's the size of an army walkie-talkie if you really wanted to bring it back to the great early days of Paul Heyman. But it'll be something that happens and all of a sudden we're very mad at him, I think is probably what's going to happen.
So we're talking about all these flashbacks. So you're saying that Paul E. Dangerously is going to come back from WCW days with the long, long ponytail and that long dream phone that he had back in the day.
He had a gigantic cell phone. He used it as a weapon. He had a ponytail. He had a skullet, like a ponytail in the back, and he was bald up top. He looked like the kind of stockbroker who would have worked for Jordan Belfort at the time. It was a great look.
Him not playing the Penguin at any point in any Batman is a crime unknown to man. All right, before I let you go, I want to ask you about, selfishly. All right, back to hockey real quick. What the hell happened to the Rangers this year? I got to ask you, just because I know my mom, I mean, not my mom, my brother always wants to know about some Ranger stuff, but what the hell happened to the Rangers this year? Did it go back to, this is my thing, I want to get your opinion. I feel like the fact that they didn't have Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider step up and be a captain when it seemed like it was their time, and Trouba kind of just like, all right, I'll take it, knowing that he wasn't like a long-term part on that right side, because you had Fox and Schneider. I thought that was like the trickle-down effect, including getting rid of John Davidson and keeping Chris Drury on. Like, did they overreact to that first-round loss to the Devils a couple years ago? Like, where did this all go wrong?
They're not good. Like, their 5-on-5 numbers have not been good for years, but they've outkicked their coverage with a great power play. and one of the best goalies in the world. And then what happened this season is it was recognized that they weren't good enough to win a cup. And the realization from upper management, ownership, James Dolan, let's be honest, was that they probably weren't built to win. They weren't tough enough, which has been kind of a theme over the last few seasons, if going all the way back to the Tom Wilson, Artemi Panarin incident, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wanted to change the complexion of the core. They got Trouba out of there. Both Zibanejad and Kreider weren't good this year. Kreider probably more injury than anything else. They go and get JT Miller because that's the kind of player they want to be their core player. And it's the reason they went and started their soft tampering on Brady Tkachuk with the Ottawa Senators. And honestly, the worst thing to happen to the Rangers this year was Ottawa was good. So Brady doesn't have a reason to want to leave anymore. So what you'll see this offseason is probably Zibanejad and Kreider both go. And then them remaking the core of this team into more of a dogged JT Miller type team. And then we'll see what happens going from there. They still have a lot of pillars in place for their foundation, whether it be Shecherkin or Adam Fox, or, if Keandre Miller can find his game again, they've got some players. Will Cooley was great this year.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of other stuff that needs to change. And then it comes down to whether or not you have faith in Chris Drury to be the guy that figures out how to change it.
I think what happened is that when I posted that picture of Chris Kreider picking up the hats on his front lawn, I think that broke the team. So I'll take full credit. What about your Devils? What do you think?
Oh, I think making the playoffs was prize enough. I really thought they were going to fall off a cliff when Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton both went out. I don't know what Dougie's status is for this series. If he comes back, they've got a puncher's chance. There's still a lot of talent on that roster, but game to game, they can look like a team that might pull a first round upset or a team that belongs in the lottery. And you can't play that kind of style of hockey against a team like Carolina that's as slow and steady as any out there. So it'd be fun to see the Devils advance absent Hughes. It'd be a surprise, but it would be a surprise.
I appreciate you taking some time today to join me. I know you were doing, what were you at a Disney or something? I saw a picture of you shooting. What was that all about?
Six Flags Great Adventure, baby. Jackson, New Jersey. I'm a Jersey native. I've been going to Great Adventure ever since I was a kid. My kid is a huge fan. She's on spring break this week, so I had to hook up and head over to Six Flags. It was the Justice League game. It's kind of like the Toy Story thing. If you know Disney, the Toy Story, you take a gun and you're shooting stuff on screens. They have a Justice League version of it, and I was the big winner in my car. I got the highest score in my car because I guess I'm handy. This is going back, like all these kids in this car, they never played Duck Hunt. They don't know what's up. Like I played Duck Hunt. I got years on them, years of experience on them. Area 51 in the arcade, Duck Hunt at home. This is a piece of cake with the light gun.
Greg Wyshynski, never a guy to stand really close to the TV screen with his orange Duck Hunt gun. He definitely took a step back. He was an honest guy, like he always is. At Wyshynski on Twitter/X. Greg, always fun. Talk to you again soon. I'm sure I'll see you around the arena somewhere, and enjoy WrestleMania this weekend, pal. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. One and only Greg Wyshynski. Good stuff, man. Good stuff right there. All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19. I wanted to get to this before we wrap things up on the program today. Now, we know when we're looking at, or maybe you don't know, a lot of times when at this time of year, you see certain meetings, top 30 visits, mock drafts, sometimes it's to kind of get you off the scent. And you wonder, like, all right, is that real? Are the Bucs really going to draft a receiver at 19? And if you've watched me here on the program before, I think that the Bucs should go in one of three areas when it comes to the upcoming draft. I think they should go at corner. I think pass rush, and I also think inside linebacker. And I think linebacker, if Jahad Campbell's there, I'm running it up there. The one guy I love is Will Johnson. I would love for them to get Will Johnson from Michigan. And we're seeing it right here, and I want to show you guys why I am talking about this right now. The 3-round mock draft with Mel Kiper and Field Yates. And you see it right there. Field has the Buccaneers taking South Carolina safety Nick Emenwari with their first pick at number 19. The safety position, which I'm starting to see a little bit more and more of people looking at it and going, maybe you get a guy in that spot. Maybe you put a guy there next to Antoine Winfield Jr. and have this kind of tag team, a Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas type of thing, like we saw with the Legion of Boom. But Field said Tampa Bay looking for help almost everywhere on defense, but Antoine Winfield Jr. really needs an impact player next to him at safety. Adding him and Warrior would form an incredibly physical duo on the back end. He ran a 4.38 in the 40 at 6'3", 220 pounds, and he had 4 interceptions last season, 2 of which were returned for touchdowns. Now, this is one of those topics of conversation when we say best player available. I don't think it's one of the top 3 position groups for the Bucs. Could they use a safety? 100%. What's the deal with Tyke Smith, right? Can you get a safety in the middle rounds? Maybe. But a guy like this, who right after the combine, everybody loved. He was a lot higher in mock drafts right after the combine. And then, as we get farther and farther away from the combine, he started sliding back down again. A guy that was maybe in the early 20s, some in the late 20s. I even saw him in a couple in the second round. I don't see how this guy falls in the second round. But if you're a Buccaneers fan, would you be cool with them picking a guy like Nick Emenwari at the safety spot? And I'm going to tell you this. I would say yes, because he's a playmaker. He's a baller. He's a monster. I think just his mere physical presence out there can help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Now, do they have to get smarter in other spots and maybe find a way to get a draft pick where they can get a couple of corners and an inside linebacker? And yes, 100%. And with them bringing in a guy like Hassan Reddick, that's another step in the direction of why I'd be cool with them taking a safety. If they don't take a guy that's going to rush the passer until the 3rd or 4th round, I wouldn't hate that if they settled on a guy that they really liked. Because when you look at what their pass rush is going to look like right now, Hassan Reddick's going to start on one side, Yaya Diaby's going to start on the other side, and they're going to hope that Chris Bradwell takes a step forward. Anthony Nelson's still going to play his fair share, right? So, Nelly's a great 4th guy to have in there. He's going to be able to play against the run. He's going to be able to come up with some, opportune plays. So, to get a guy like Emenwari from South Carolina, if he is a baller like that, and they've been looking for that guy, even with Jordan Whitehead, and we remember, let's not forget, that's the reason why they went out and got a guy like Ryan Neal. They took a chance on Ryan Neal, saw what he did down the stretch for Seattle a couple of years ago, and I remember it clear as day, that first day in training camp, walking out there and seeing, at the time, Carlton Davis, and seeing Jamel Dean, and seeing Antoine Winfield Jr., and seeing Levante David. And the one guy that you could hear, the one guy was, what's his name? Ryan Neal. That's the guy you heard. So I was like, all right, this guy might be able to do the job. Unfortunately for him and the Buccaneers, and for all of us, it didn't work out so well. But maybe you can bring number 7 in and really fortify that defense, and just imagine what your safety group would look like with him and Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyke Smith. I wouldn't hate that at all. Last thing I wanted to touch on before we leave here at Amalie Arena. And again, follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Did you guys see the story last night with the female sports reporter, not the female sports reporter, but the I'm trying to make sure. All right. This is it right here. Okay. All right. So this is what happened last night. Wiley Ballard, who works for FanDuel up there in Georgia, he's on the broadcast. He's up there in Toronto, and he's talking to these ladies, and he was told by the play-by-play crew to try to get their number. So his buddy Myles Garrett here that works for Fox 5 in Atlanta, put this tweet out. Shout out to my guy, Wally Ballard, setting the standard for sports reporters, getting a phone number out in the wild. 10 out of 10 work. And now, if you can see my screen here, you're seeing a lot of women in the industry not thrilled. Taylor Tannenbaum, who we've had here on the, not on this show, but we had her on DAE, ACC Network, ESPN, good friend of our friend Trisha Whitaker. Can't count how many times I felt pressured to give a number based on the situation I was in, laughing it off as laughing it off as chill or a joke, doing this on live TV, not knowing the personal life of these women. Imagine a female reporter doing this and what she'd be labeled. This is gross. And just more women right here, more and more women coming out. Now, there have been other women that have come out and said that it's not so big of a deal. Our good friend Lyndon Blake, who works for Outkick right now, she was like, it's not a big deal. I actually asked a couple of my different colleagues around the industry, and it's been kind of split. It's been split. There's been women that are just, they're disgusted and insulted. One thing that we can do in situations like this is, it's only when you talk about certain topics, when it's about race, when it's about gender, if you're not in that demographic, man, you have to be really careful with what you say, because it's not about necessarily what you think. And that's why I reached out to a couple of my colleagues here in the industry and saw, and asked what they thought. And it was split. Some of them didn't think it was a big deal. Some of them looked at the situation and said, we get offended by way too many things. This is just standard guy, girl stuff. Why are we freaking out about this? And I can see that aspect of it. I do think in certain levels, people get way too offended about things, and things that are just harmless get blown out of proportion and shouldn't be considered as so offensive, right? But I also see the other side of women that have been fighting to get into this industry, that have to deal with off-color comments, and they have to just kind of, water off the back of a duck. Like, they just have to deal with it, and they have to be treated differently. And the barriers that they've had to overcome, and the obstacles that they've had to endure, stuff like this makes light of that. Again, it's tough for me to really give my 2 cents on this entire thing, because it doesn't necessarily affect me. I don't get offended about it, but I'm also not in that position where I have been a female where I didn't get that same opportunity, or I get looked at differently, or I get ogled when I go inside of a locker room because of what I wear. These are one of those things where I think dialogue is important. It's important to be able to hear both sides. I do see where people can look at certain things like this and say, come on, it's not that big of a deal. But I also see the other side where it's like, this is the kind of shit that women have to deal with. And it's easy for a guy like me to be like, I haven't experienced that. So it's tough for me to really speak on that type of stuff. So you're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see a lot of these. It's been probably one of the number one stories when it comes to sports here today, and bringing up this conversation. Pretty much everybody's seen it. And there's a lot of people that, even if they don't think, it's like, is that what we're doing on a baseball broadcast now? I know the Braves have had a rough year. They lost 2 of 3 to the Rays. But does that make it okay when you're trying to? Yeah, there's other ways to have fun with your sideline reporter like that. Does it have to be something like that where you're asking for a girl's number on air? I don't know, but these are important. These are the type of things where it is a polarizing topic, and I think it's important to talk about it. It is important to talk about both sides of this argument. For people that think that it's not a big deal, for people that think that it's extremely offensive, where can we meet? Where can we have a discussion so that we can continue to go forward, All right. That's going to wrap it up for me. A big thank you to all of our guests today, including Marty Collins and Greg Wyshynski. Really, really great stuff. That'll be up on right here on our channel. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe. You see me here at Amalie Arena today. I'll be here tonight. It's the final regular season home game for our Bolts, and then they have the game Thursday against the Rangers, and it looks like probably Sunday right here, probably Sunday afternoon right here at Amalie Arena, game 1, and it looks like it'll probably be Lightning and Panthers. Back in action tomorrow at home. Eric Erlinson's going to join us at 1 o'clock, and of course, we'll have some more guests as well. Ed Encina joins us at 1:30, and then Friday we'll have our WrestleMania roundtable at 1 o'clock, previewing WrestleMania 41. Again, follow me on all social media platforms. Everybody be kind to each other. Have a wonderful Tuesday here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Jay Recher Podcast. I am Go. Peace out.